Uh, yeah, well, obviously the 20% I think was a knee-jerk reaction. The stock is kind of very under-owned by investors. I think it's pretty heavily shorted. So the initial knee-jerk reaction was to cover those shorts.
That said, if this look, the shares have been struggling for a long time. You covered the stock. I don't have to tell you. Would you expect a bigger move here? They're clearly looking to do something more transformational than what they did with this little offering last year of spinning out Versant. It sounds like they're dissatisfied. Comcast has continued to underperform. Is now spinning out all of NBC Universal the right move?
It's definitely the right move strategically. It's only about 20% though of the EBITDA of the company, so it's not that big of a transaction. But it's been a bit of a disaster owning these assets. They've gotten cut in half since they acquired them, over roughly a decade ago. It was two different transactions. The multiples are down. The EBITDA is down quite a bit. And there's a lot of channel conflict having both a distribution channel and a content creator in the same place. So this is clearly the right move. And I think people now are waking up to the fact, though, that, maybe Comcast does something else. Like you said, maybe they buy Charter, or maybe the media business buys other assets. The management team is downplaying that, but they have to do something. They're both basically in secular decline at this point, and they both probably need to jumpstart something.
Alex, let me turn to you because you've said this is creating a lot of ripples already throughout the media and telecom space.
Well, yeah, you pointed out the first one, which is Charter. I mean, it's not usual that you get news that a company is doing a spin and then the share price of the company that rose the highest was not a company involved in the transaction whatsoever. And yet that's what we saw with Charter, which was up at earlier in the day about 25%. So the pare down that you've seen in Comcast is mirrored by Charter. In addition to both companies being well shorted, as Tim just said, I think it's also possible that investors have kind of become more sober with the M&A possibilities, at least in the near term. Like this transaction is going to take a year to complete. Even after that, for tax purposes, there's usually another year or so wait before a deal gets done. And even beyond any of those things, it really is not a slam dunk at all that a Comcast-Charter merger would be allowed by regulators. Think back 11 years, Comcast tried to buy Time Warner Cable. That company was eventually swallowed up by Charter. So most of Charter today is Time Warner Cable. That deal was blocked, or was about to be blocked by the Department of Justice, and then Comcast backed away. So I think it's very much up in the air whether or not a Comcast-Charter merger this time around would be approved by regulators. And they don't even need to be it's not only the federal regulators that need to approve it, but also from a state-by-state local cable commission standpoint, it would need to get state approval. We're seeing the Paramount-Warner deal, the last step it needs is to get state approval at the AG level. So there's multiple different regulatory levels that this deal would need to go through. And I think that also may be tamping down Wall Street's immediate reaction today.
Tim, is SpaceX with its Starlink provider the elephant in the room here?
Totally. And, Charter might also be up a little bit. There was some news articles out that maybe SpaceX and Charter will try to work together in some form. We don't really know how, but clearly, we think SpaceX is going to go from having 4 million subs in the United States on broadband to 20 million over the next 5 years. And we think they're going to get into the mobile business in one form or another. So it's a huge overhang for the whole sector. And you're seeing the telco stocks under a lot of pressure today. Not exactly clear what's driving all this because there's a lot of different news items out.
But to your point, if Starlink is going to get in the mobile phone business, if I'm Verizon, if I'm T-Mobile, that as T-Mobile especially, which always had kind of that younger, jazzier demographic, here comes an even jazzier one. Alex, then what about the rest? What about Netflix? Those shares have actually been struggling as well. What is all of this telling us about the economics of the streaming business, just to focus on that piece of it, and how much more may be to come in terms of where these assets ultimately end up?
Yeah, I mean, there's certainly an argument to be made that Netflix shares jumped after it pulled back from buying Warner Brothers Discovery. Now those shares have come all the way back down. Yeah. So there is an investor argument to be made that maybe they should have just upped their bid on WBD and at least they would have walked away with that asset if the shares were going to trade at the same price either way. So I think there's an investor camp that's now looking at NBC Universal as the potential next target for Netflix. However, these are not apples-to-apples businesses. For one, NBC Universal owns a large theme park business, so perhaps Netflix wants to go there, perhaps not. Certainly it would be a diversion focus-wise for Netflix. The other thing is that NBC is a broadcast company at heart. It owns local station. NBC is a broadcast network. So this deal would have an FCC regulatory component that the Warner deal did not have. So to just say, oh, they didn't buy Warner, they'll buy NBC Universal instead, I'm not sure that's a logical jump to be made.